Hi everyone, my name is Jonathan Beltran, and this is my week 3 ITL 670 Introduction to Social and Emotional Learning. This is my working against racial bias assignment, both in the classroom and outside of the classroom, on school grounds or on school grounds in my classroom or wherever it may be. Now, why is this so important? Well, it really gets down to who I am as a person. What am I thinking and what is coming out of my mouth based on what I'm thinking? Is it appropriate? Well, everyone's entitled to their opinion, right? So I can say how I feel and it makes it okay. Well, it goes beyond that. We really have to think about others, especially for myself wanting to be a teacher. That's what this class is for, getting us to think of just not ourselves, but think of our students. How can we use our own biases in a positive way, not negatively, to teach our students and to reach them? So I really have to know myself as an individual and think in a way that will benefit my students both now in the present and in the future when they reflect back to their time in my classroom. Now, cultural factors, as you can see here, go beyond race and ethnicity. It goes on, what do I think about this race? What do I think about individuals that are light complected, medium complected, or dark complexion of their skin? What do I think? Is it going to change the way that I speak to them, the way that I think about them as soon as I see them, before even engaging in conversation and getting to know their name? Like, oh, this person, they look this way. They probably feel this way about this topic. I probably won't get the answers I'm looking for. I'll go ask someone else. See, it really gets to racial bias is within myself, how I view others. Am, do I view them negatively before I even know them? Just because I had a bad experience with someone that was light complexion, does that mean that I'm going to have that same result with everyone? Not at all. But for many of us, when we're young, we form our identity, and it can be hard to change over time. But being an educator, we're constantly learning. So if we're constantly learning and this knowledge is going into my mind, I need to know that what I'm putting in there over time will change the negative aspects of myself and help me be a positive influence in the classroom. Both the people that I am around with, my immediate family, those that I spend time with as friends, and growing up, the institutions, everything that I interact with in my free time plays a role in our racial biases, especially our friends. When our friends, if we try to fit in, we may start forming opinions about a certain group of people just to fit in. We can see that happen uh, recently in the past 4 years in politics, that many people change their ideologies to fit in with the crowd or what was going on. I don't need to elaborate on that. We all can just reflect back on the past 4 years and know exactly what racial biases were in America at that time. Me as an educator, I have to make sure that I don't demonstrate any negative aspects towards my students. I have to be fair and equal with all of them, but I have to mean it. I can't just say it because oh that's the right thing to do. No, I have to mean it. Working against racial bias to me is very important. It will help me be a better teacher and help me be a better person overall. Now, on this timeline here, um, definitely here starting out, um, my personal experiences were a lot of individuals of different races and nationalities helped me out because I was in a tough spot as a kid, being in the foster care system, being in many foster homes with different people, different cultures. It really opened my eyes that anyone, no matter what they look, what language they speak, even if I can't communicate with them 100%, they're still good people, and don't judge people before I get to know them. And now, where I'm at in my stage as a teacher, I really see that the way I think about others really is important, and it really will play a role on molding my students in the classroom. Um, for racial bias, the information for this week, it wasn't new information to me at San Diego State. We had a class where this was discussed, and it really helped I know it really helped me because for the test that we had today, the first time that I took it, um, I got 7 out of 7. I thought I'm going to probably have to retake this. I'm not sure about this question, but practice makes pertinent. If we're constantly working on ourselves, we'll make sure that we're aware of what questions are, um, might be, how to answer them a certain way where we're not being racially biased subconsciously without even knowing it. And for, let's see, the parallels that I have, that I formed when I was with my own personal life and with this racial bias assessment with the different chapters, I was really going through them, and one stuck out for me the most with the racial bias. As a substitute, I know that I'm going to be teaching white students, Mexican, Asian, African American, a whole plethora, but primarily white, Mexican, and African American, because in my region, that's the primarily dominant cultures, and the race and religion, Catholic and Christian. Those are the two predominant ones. However, there are some other ones, and I have to work, not work on myself, but seek to understand um, those the students in that I'm familiar with right now. I know what how I should comport myself, what I should say to be, respect their culture, their religion. So definitely, it brought to my mind, when I substitute, there'll be a list of one teacher in particular. I had a list, and it was 1 page of instructions for the day for the whole class, and then 2 pages on how to deal with one student, how bad he was if he does this, do that. And the student came in, and he was African American. Um, but he was not like what the paper suggested to him. In my mind, I thought, what's wrong with this teacher? But I'm just a substitute. I don't know what goes on when I'm not there. So, I mean, I initially thought that there might be some racial biases, but I don't have the full information. So, as an educator, I have to be constantly aware of my thoughts and actions and be equal and fair both with my students and with my fellow colleagues in the classroom. So racial bias, working against it, it's very important to me. And this quote here by Harriet Tubman, it brings to mind when it says, always remember you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach the stars to change the world. And to me, the stars, that represents the students, not stars that are in outer space, but my students, the students that are going to go forth and lead in this world. So I definitely have to work against racial bias, and that is my determination as a future educational leader and teacher in the classroom.